What's going on, guys? Aryan here, and last year Samsung introduced us to the Galaxy Note 7. Now, in my personal opinion, it was one of my favorite smartphones of 2016, and it was a surefire hit. But unfortunately, that success blew up in Samsung's face, quite literally. Now, we all know what happened with the Galaxy Note 7s. They suffered from an exploding battery issue, and the problem was so bad that Samsung had to recall every single produced unit and bring it back. Now, the issue was so bad that it left a really bad mark on the Note's reputation. So much so that everyone thought the Note line of phones was going to be done after the Note 7 debacle. But this is the Galaxy Note 8, and Samsung is aiming to fix the Note's reputation with this amazing smartphone. But just how good is it? We're about to find out. Alright, so let's get the paper specs out of the way first. Galaxy Note 8 comes with a 6.3-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED panel with a 521 ppi density. And I gotta tell you guys, it's one of the best smartphone displays, if not the best smartphone display of 2017. It's absolutely phenomenal. The screen gets super bright, the colors are really vibrant and punchy, and outdoor visibility is really good. Now, as far as processing power goes, it comes with a Snapdragon 835 and an Adreno 540 GPU with 6 gigs of RAM, which is basically up there with a lot of the 2017 Android flagships on the market. What's interesting about the Note 8 is it does come with 2 gigs extra of RAM compared to the S8 and the S8 Plus. But specs on paper is one thing. How they actually translate to real-life performance is another. And the Galaxy Note 8 actually does really well in day-to-day performance. Now, I personally do believe that the 2 extra gigs of RAM does help with the phone's performance, although the majority of users are not going to task the Note 8 enough to actually use all 6 gigs of RAM. But I guess it still is a good thing that the extra 2 gigs are there. It can never hurt, right? So yeah, performance on the Galaxy Note 8 day-to-day is great. Snapdragon 835 with an Adreno 540, 6 gigs of RAM. It's a recipe for success for an Android smartphone in 2017. Now, I will say this. There's always been a slight stigma associated with the Samsung flagship line of smartphones, and that's that they're really good out of the box for like a week or two or even a month, but after a few months or later on down the line, they start to really bog down. Now, that could be tied to their software, it could be tied to lack of software optimization to work with the hardware, it could be tied to anything. I haven't noticed it during my week and a half or 2 weeks with the Galaxy Note, but you never know. That's really an issue that you would see down the line. I do personally have some friends who have the S8 and the S8 Plus, and they've noticed the performance take a significant drop since they first unboxed their phone, but it could come down to a variety of factors. Nothing's really set in stone, and with the Note 8, you're just gonna have to wait and see. Now, the Galaxy Note 8 does have some really nice software tricks up its sleeve, and we're going to get to those later. But in my opinion, what's more impressive than the actual performance of the phone is the build quality. Samsung absolutely nailed the build quality on the Galaxy Note 8. Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and back with aluminum around the edges. The phone is IP68 water and dust resistant. There is USB Type-C fast charging on the bottom, and you also get wireless fast charging, which is really cool. They included a headphone jack. Still can't believe we have to actually mention that as a feature. My only knock on the build quality, there's a single mono speaker at the bottom. It sounds good, and even whenever you get to max volume, it doesn't really get distorted. But you guys already know, I personally prefer the dual speaker setup. It's fine to have one speaker on the bottom, but in my opinion, you should complement it with a speaker in the earpiece, or just go dual front-facing speakers, which unfortunately we haven't seen in a really long time. Besides that, the Fingerprint Scanner is also on the back of the phone, just like the S8, and it's not that bad, okay? Everyone says it's horrible, it's bad placement. You get used to it after you have the phone for a couple weeks, and it's actually better than the S8 Plus. The Fingerprint Scanner on the Note is actually in between the flash and the heart rate monitor, so even if you miss the fingerprint sensor, you're not necessarily touching the dual cameras, like you would be on the S8 Plus. But perhaps the most iconic part of any Galaxy Note is the S Pen, and I'm happy to say that on the Galaxy Note 8, the S Pen is the best it's ever been. I know, go figure, right? But whenever you pull out the S Pen from the phone, you're greeted to a whole slew of options as to what you can do with it. Anything from sending a live message to Smart Select, which is basically cropping a portion of your screen so you can share it with someone else, to screen memos that you can write without actually powering on the Note at all, to translating live text on the screen. I mean, the list goes on and on. The S Pen is incredibly functional. It works really well, and to be completely honest with you guys, it's a really big reason as to why some people buy the Note over the S line of phones. It just helps you do more things even though you think it wouldn't. And earlier I mentioned that the Galaxy Note 8 is IP68 water and dust resistant. Well, the same applies if the S Pen is actually out of the phone. So if you pull out the S Pen and then drop it into a sink or a swimming pool, you're still good, which is pretty cool. So I want to take some time to talk about live messages. It seems like every year whenever Samsung brings out a Note, there's a new software enhancement built into the S Pen that they like to spend a lot of time talking about at the launch event. And this year for the Note 8, they spent a lot of time talking about live message. So what exactly is live message? It basically allows you to pull out your S Pen and send a handwritten message to basically anyone. Now, you have a couple choices in terms of what type of texture you want it to have, whether or not it's more like a paintbrush. You have like a glow pencil effect, you have a glitter pencil effect, and you also have different colors that you can choose from as well. Now the neat part is it works with any messaging platform, be it on Android or iOS. Whatever you write and send to that person, they actually see you write it on their screen. So it adds a really nice personal touch to text messages. Another thing Samsung spent a lot of time talking about at the Note 8 launch event is the fact that it has dual cameras. Yeah, this is really important for a couple reasons. One, Samsung has always been really good at making cameras in general. Their smartphones have typically had some of the best camera performances regardless of which year they come out in. And two, this is the first ever Samsung flagship phone to feature a dual lens system. Now, one really cool thing before we actually get into photos and videos, both lenses have optical image stabilization, which leads to incredibly stable videos. And of course, because there are two, there's a wide angle and a telephoto, you can now take portrait photo effects as well. Very similar to the iPhone and the OnePlus 5. But where Samsung does it a little differently is when you take the portrait photo, you actually take two photos, the standard portrait frame and a wide angle. So you get two photos for the price of one. And after you take a portrait photo, you can adjust the blur after the fact, which is something really cool in case you want to kind of, adjust how it looks to make you seem a little more artsy. Samsung's got you covered. So before we actually show you guys photos and videos, let's get the actual specs of the cameras taken care of so you guys know what you're working with. On the back, you have a dual camera setup. Like I said, both cameras are 12 megapixel. One is a wide angle, one is a telephoto, and they are both optically stabilized. And on the front, you have an 8 megapixel camera, which also still comes with a lot of the same selfie filters. So Samsung's attempt at basically trying to be Snapchat, but without actually using Snapchat. Now, if you guys are not sure what I'm talking about, be sure to check out our Galaxy S8 Plus review, where we actually do show you guys some examples of the selfie filters. A lot of the ones on the Note 8, they pulled straight from the S8 Plus. So it's all the same. But the important part is, how well do the rear cameras perform? As you guys can expect, Samsung absolutely nailed it with the Galaxy Note 8's camera. They take incredible photos. Portrait mode, which on the Note is actually called live focus, works relatively well for being fresh out of the box and being Samsung's first attempt at it. Works really well. The standard wide angle camera takes incredible photos in both good lighting and low light situations. So overall, great camera. Alright guys, and now we're going to talk about a really explosive topic. The battery.
What?
No, but on a serious note guys, the battery on the Galaxy Note is actually incredibly solid. And from what I've seen, or actually from what I haven't seen, there are no reported issues of the phone's battery exploding, which is really good. Now, in terms of actual battery size, the Note 8 has a 3300 milliamp hour pack. Now, when you compare it to the S8 Plus, it's 200 milliamp hours smaller. Now, this could be for a couple of reasons. The first one I'm assuming is because of what happened last year. Samsung is kind of playing it safe with the size of the battery this year because they just do not, under any circumstances, want a repeat of what happened in 2016. And number two, there are also different internals that they have to deal with, such as still including the headphone jack, which, believe it or not, does take a little bit of space inside the phone, and of course the S Pen, which compared to other flagship phones takes up space. So there could be a couple reasons why the battery is smaller, but I'm just gonna let you guys know now. You can probably get 4.5 hours to 5 hours of screen on time depending on how you use your phone. I used my Note pretty extensively over 2 weeks, and I routinely saw about 5 hours of screen on time. That's one thing, but the Note 8 does come with fast wired and fast wireless charging, and if you pre-order the Note, you actually have an option to select a bundle that comes with a fast wireless charger for free. So totally worth it. You guys do not have to worry about the Galaxy Note's battery life this time around. Alright guys, so we're reaching the end of the review, which means it's time to talk about the price point and of course the final verdict for the Galaxy Note 8. So the Note 8 is one of the most expensive flagship phones of 2017. If you decide to go through your carrier, the phone can cost anywhere from $930 to $950. And if you decide to just go straight unlocked, it's $930 before tax. Now, as it stands right now, Samsung is currently offering pre-order incentives, such as a wireless charger and an SD card, or a Gear 360 camera, which can alleviate some of the price or kind of justify spending $930 for a flagship phone, but that's only for a limited time. Once that time passes, you're still just going to spend $930 for a phone, which in my opinion is way too expensive. I don't think I could honestly recommend any of you guys out there spending $930 for a flagship phone unless you really just have the money to blow. Also keep in mind that the Galaxy S8 Plus, which can do 80% of the things the Note 8 can do, is about $300 to $400 cheaper now since it's been out on the market for several months. So should you buy the Note 8? I think the answer really lies in, do you have the money for it, and are you okay spending the money for it? Which, oddly enough, seems to be the recurring theme for every phone released this year. They all seem to be getting a little more expensive, and really, if you have the money, go for it. If you don't, you can always find something better. The Note 8 is very capable, but at the same time, very expensive. So if you're going to spend this much on a phone, you should probably make sure that you also invest in some protection. And that brings us to a company who reached out to us and sent us a couple cool cases and a screen protector for the Galaxy Note 8. And you guys have probably heard of them before if you watch our videos. They go by the name of Elixir. So they sent us, how many cases, David? 3? Yeah. 3. They sent us 3 cases and a screen protector. They're all super high quality. They protect the device really well, and the screen protector that they sent is actually a curved glass screen protector that is case friendly at the same time. So huge thanks to Elixir. We're going to kind of show you guys what the cases look like in some shots right now. Big thank you to you guys for reaching out to us. We really did love the look of the products. They're super high quality, they're super classy, they look really nice, and at the same time they protect the device really well. So if you guys out there are interested in buying some cases, be sure to check out the description down below. We're going to leave a link to their website where you guys can hook your Galaxy Note 8 up with some really sweet protection. Again, thanks Elixir for reaching out to us. So that just about does it here, guys. That's everything I got for you as far as the Note 8 goes. But we do have something else. All the stuff that Elixir sent us, we're actually going to be giving away to you guys because you guys have always been supporting us through all of our videos, leaving really positive comments, liking and hitting the subscribe button, sharing with friends, and it really means a lot to us. So we're trying to find more ways to give back to you guys as often as possible, and this is one of them. So you guys have probably seen the cases and screen protector that Elixir sent us in this video, and we're going to give them all away. So in order to get into it, be sure to like and subscribe, just like we always ask you to do. Leave us a nice comment down below. Let us know if you have the Note 8 and if you're interested in one of these cases. We'll reach out to you and get your information, and we will mail them to you personally so you guys can protect that incredibly expensive investment. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. But this is the Galaxy Note 8. And Samsung is aiming to fix the reputation of the Note series. Did I hold it upside down? I knew as soon as you started laughing, it was probably like this, right?